Derby County made two huge moves in the transfer window yesterday, bringing in the signings of Bobby Clark and Dion Sanderson. It means that Derby County are in an unbelievable position heading into the opening game of the season, despite the injuries that they have on the sidelines. Now, obviously, for Derby County, we're stepping into the 25-26 season in a little bit of the unknown, not really knowing how this team is going to shape up and not sort of knowing what our best 11 is. But as we head closer to that first game of the season, we're certainly getting there, and we're certainly seeing John Eustace put together a brilliant Derby County squad. The introduction of Bobby Clark adds creativity to the midfield, and the introduction of Dion Sanderson adds extra strength and depth to that centre-back position. He can also play out at right-back if needs be, but obviously for me, he'll be staying at centre-half. Now, we're going to cover everything in this video, from squad depth to the new signings, and we're going to take a look at everything. Now, if you did not already, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on that notification bell, and hit the like button as well. We will be going live at 6 p.m. today to discuss the championship, all the teams, all the transfers, and preview the opening week, as well as make a table league prediction. Now, you can obviously let me know your thoughts on that down in the comments, but make sure you're here at 6 p.m. to get into that. Now, if you have not done so already, hit like, hit subscribe, turn on the notification bell, but let's get into it. Now, obviously, for Derby County, it's been a summer of change, and it's been a summer of change that has been needed. Now, there was a ton of players that were released at the end of the season, and we're now heading into the start of the season with, in my opinion, a 10 times better squad than what we had at this point last year. We have 4 strikers. Obviously, yes, a couple of them are currently out injured. In that midfield area, it is exactly the same, just with the addition of Bobby Clark and Andreas Fireman, as well as players like Ryan Bruce who can step into that role as well. The defensive line has been improved as well, with the likes of Dion Sanderson being added, Danny Bart, you look at Owen Beck as well, and we're in a very, very good position. Now, obviously, yesterday we did see the introduction of Bobby Clark to Derby County, who joined on a season-long loan. I did do a live stream discussing this. It was about an hour long, where we discussed Bobby Clark, a range of different questions that you guys had in regards to the signing and how this might impact Derby County moving forward, but we discussed it all. We also saw Derby County introduce Dion Sanderson. There's a shorter live stream, about 20 minutes long, that I posted yesterday as well, in regards to that transfer, and again, we discussed everything and how important this move could be. Although I am a little bit sort of disappointed with the Sanderson move, I completely understand why it's been done, having been given myself the last 12 or so hours to sort of think about it and discuss it. Now, on screen right now, you've probably have seen it a couple of times in this video already, is the squad depth chart for Derby County. And I think what the main thing is, we've got to talk about registrations. We've got to talk about squad size. And I think what many people have sort of missed out among this is that as much as Derby County have a ton of players at the moment, a lot of them, we're going to be in that position where some can't be registered. I think if we look at the numbers, I think we've got 29 players, 3 of which are goalkeepers that have to be registered. I think there's only 2 who are under 21 that don't. So that literally puts you sort of bang on 25 players that will have to be registered for this 2025-26 campaign. And obviously that is completely fine. Having the full squad isn't a problem, but if you do look at Derby County's current sort of depth situation in regards to especially the wide areas and even that right back position, I think we're sort of lacking a little bit, if I'm completely honest, because in my personal opinion, I do think a couple of players may move on. I think you look at Joe Ward, you look at Ben Osborne, Curtis Nelson, may potentially be heading out of the club over the course of the next month or so. Nelson may be one who sort of sits out till January, but we can sort of wait and see on that one. But it's one of those for me where I think we need another left winger, and I think we do need a right back. I'm obviously sort of, if those of you who weren't in my live stream yesterday, I'm sort of big on that move for Max Johnston, who's obviously the Scottish 21-year-old, who's obviously played for their national team, currently playing for Sturm Graz. But it's difficult at the moment to sort of see where these moves are going to come from and which players are going to move on, because there's no links in regards to those players moving on, if that makes sense. There's nothing in regards of Joe Ward. There's nothing in regards of Ben Osborne or even the likes of Callum Elder or Curtis Nelson. There's nothing in that sort of respect. Now, I know a lot of people are sort of going to go, well, realistically, does Joe Ward need to leave? Does Ben Osborne need to leave? They're good depth for the squad. And don't get me wrong, I do completely agree. I just think it's one of those where, as much as we've got brilliant depth at right back, great depth at left back, we've got, obviously, realistically, we've got 6 players who can play those pivot roles. I just think we need another left winger, because I don't really want Clark playing out there. I think Vyman would prefer to play centrally. You don't really want Jackson out there, but you want someone who can replace Blackett-Taylor heading into this upcoming season. Should an injury turn up, fitness reasons, it obviously gets very, very busy around Christmas time. So it's one of those where it's not that we necessarily are in dire need of another player. It's just a case of long term, we're going to need that. Even if you look at the first week of the season, we've got 3 games in 7 days. Obviously starting this Saturday against Stoke. You've then got West Brom on the Tuesday. You've then got Coventry at home the following Saturday. So within a space of 7 days, we've got 3 games, and ultimately Blackett-Taylor at the moment is probably going to have to play all of them, although it wouldn't surprise me if in that cup game we saw a couple of those younger players, the likes of Charles Abuka, the likes of Isaac Gordon, Harry Hawkins maybe, get themselves an opportunity within that first team picture. Obviously there is a lot in that regard to be discussed about which of those youngsters could step up, which of those youngsters will step up across the course of the season. And I think the main sort of talking point is going to be Charles Abuka, but obviously we do have Dejan Brown in that sort of position, so it is going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out come obviously Tuesday when we face up against West Brom. I think it is smart for Derby County to give the youngsters an opportunity, but then also if you look at the amount of players we have in the first team, we don't necessarily have to chuck any of them on to start. It can be that bench and come in type vibe. But obviously that's something which we're going to have to wait and see across the course of the season. It is one of those positions for me where Derby County we have good depth in certain areas, but I think maybe the depth of player isn't necessarily as good as we think. For me, I think we need to bring in Johnston at right back, and we need a left winger, which means 2 players probably have to leave. Who those 2 players are going to be at this point, I'm not entirely sure, but obviously it would be really nice to sort of see Derby County sort of move out some of those lesser players and obviously put ourselves in a much better position. But it's obviously one of those situations where obviously there's no point sort of moving on a Joe Ward or moving on a Ben Osborne if we don't sort of have a deal completed for Max Johnston or for a left winger, because that's sort of them putting us on the back foot heading into the season, which ultimately right now we definitely aren't on the back foot. We're in a great position in terms of, even in the forward area really, we are in a good position, because you could put Ajimang on the left, you could put Clark on the left, you can put Vyman on the left. Worst case scenario, Beck can play on the left, Wilson can go on the right. Like, we have those sort of, there is the opportunity for us to move players about that are already in the squad, but it is going to be an interesting one to sort of see how it all shakes out. Obviously, I believe Kmar Rufus did on trial at Derby but picked up a knock, but I don't necessarily think we're going to bring him in, if I'm completely honest. As much as he was a good player for us in the few pre-season friendlies that he played, I just don't necessarily think Derby County need him. And I think realistically, if it was going to be a deal, it would be a short-term one while we wait for the return of Ajimang and Selverson. But we're going to have to wait and see on that one. Now, obviously, you can let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I will be live in a couple of hours' time to discuss Derby County and the entire championship. We're going to go through each team. We're going to go through all the transfers, and we're going to take a look at everything that comes with the championship and take a look at this weekend's fixtures, as well as making a league table prediction as we sort of head towards the opening day. Now, if you have not done so already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell, and I'll catch you here later at 6 p.m. Bye-bye.